गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भवानी शंकरौ वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्थमीश्वरम्। शांतिदूता हे महानेता शांतिदूता शांतिदूता हे महानेता हे महानेता अभयदाता अभयदाता जनमनहरिता जनमनहरिता सत्यनेता सत्यनेता प्रेम प्रभाता प्रेम प्रभाता शांतिदूता शांतिदूता हे महानेता हे महानेता अभयदाता अभयदाता जनमनहरिता जनमनहरिता सत्यनेता सत्यनेता प्रेम प्रभाता प्रेम प्रभाता स्वतंत्र ज्ञाता स्वतंत्र ज्ञाता स्वेच्छ विधाता स्वेच्छ विधाता स्वप्राणहुता स्वप्राणहुता अहिंसताता अहिंसताता शांतिदूता हे महनेता अभयदाता जनमनहरिता जनमनहरिता समरस्वनिता समरस्वनिता स्वराज्य स्वान्ता स्वराज्य स्वान्ता अचलित चरिता अचलित चरिता स्मित अतिहसिता स्मित अतिहसिता समरस्वनिता समरस्वनिता स्वराज्य स्वान्ता स्वराज्य स्वान्ता अचलित चरिता अचलित चरिता स्मित अतिहसिता स्मित अतिहसिता शांतिदूता शांतिदूता हे महनेता हे महनेता अभयदाता अभयदाता जनमनहरिता जनमनहरिता जनमनहरिता. Harita means one who takes away the minds of others. In those days, if we observe, thousands and lakhs of people were attracted by Mahatma Gandhi ji. Any call given by him was acceptable to all people. Such was the power of his principles and values. So, Jana Mana Harita. He was such a personality which attracted all the minds, not only of Indians, but also of the foreigners, not only in one country and one continent, in many countries and many continents. And another word which is again important is Swapranahuta. I am not taking all the words because most of them you know. Swapranahuta meaning he was always ready to offer his life into the sacrificial fire. Huta, Homa fire. In Homa fire we only offer oblations. So he was ready to offer his life as an oblation for a great cause. Swapranahuta. And Ahimsa Tata. Tata is not a Telugu Tata which is grandfather here. One who spreads it and expands it. Tata. He spread the message of non-violence all over. He expanded it. He broadened the vision of the people by taking the message of Ahimsa. Many countries, they were influenced and impressed by this message of Mahatma Gandhi of non-violence. Samara Swanita. Swanita means one who bears the burden of freedom struggle. He was the one who was bearing the burden, Samara, of freedom struggle. Swarajya Swanta. Swanta means that which speaks. He spoke about Swarajya, that we will rule ourselves, self-governance. He was the one who made it very clear to the British that he is not going to hate them, he will be friend of them, at the same time he will rebel. He will fight for the freedom. They have never ever faced a person like that. They faced people who were violent, who were fighting with them, who hated them, who revolted, who were against them. But Mahatma Gandhi was never against them. But he was against the slavery. He was against the domination. That is why when he went there, everybody welcomed him. Because he was a person of love and forgiveness. So, the fight was taken into a different dimension. Normally we see about the fight that people who are opponents, they will start hating. He loves the opponent. He doesn't hate the opponent. Where can you find such a person? He doesn't hate the opponent, but he fights for his cause. He fights in such a way that there is no violence, there is no loss. And Smita Ati Hasita, wherever he went, whether he was in Europe, whether he went to South Africa, or whether he went to UK and then to Italy, Switzerland, France, wherever he went, thousands and thousands of people came to receive him. Different country, different culture. He is not doing anything for them, but he just loves them. And wherever he went, he expressed his support and solidarity to the poorer sections. When he went to England also, there he stayed in such a place where there are only poor people around. He was offered a 5-star hotel, but he refused. And there poor people were so much touched by his love and affection for them. When he went and met their children, when the children came to meet him, he said, they are all my children. But at the same time he is fighting the British rule, but he says they are all my children. So they were touched by his love. There were people, great stalwarts of those times, who were thinking, is it the Christ has come back again with the message of love? Later on we will see, if time permits, what the great stalwarts of Western world have said, of the European world have said about Mahatma Gandhi. So, he was Smita Ati Hasita, means smiles and smiles and smiles. He used to make everybody comfortable. So when you smile, people will become comfortable automatically, naturally. If you stare and if you frown, people will be uncomfortable. But he was smiling. With anybody he was smiling. Because he had no hatred. He has no ill will. There is no negativity. He just presents his point very firmly, uncompromisingly, but there is no negativity in it. So even that opponent also loves him, respects him. That is why he was welcome everywhere. Even the people who sent him to most troublesome, rigorous imprisonment, even towards them also, he was very respectful and loving. They themselves were shocked. What a kind of person he is. He knows that repeatedly he was sent into the prison in South Africa. Later on we will see, when the time permits, who is that person and all. But he was still very loving, very respectful to the person. Because he is not against any person. He is against their rule, that's all. The oppression. Very, very different kind of personality. It's not easy to fight with him. That is why even the whole British Empire could not fight with him. One of the persons in Switzerland who was called as a sage at that time, Romain Rolland, he said, one person was enough to shake the whole British Empire. So then, we feel ourselves very fortunate to really spend some precious moments in thinking about his way of living, how he led the people, how he guided the people by his living, and the most essential values of him. We truly are fortunate to spend these moments in contemplation of those beautiful ideals. Mahatma Gandhi said to be afraid of death, because when he was leading there in that political field, he instilled that kind of fearlessness about death, that acceptance about death. Be ready to die in fighting for the great cause, but non-violent way. If they kill, be ready. So he had to instill this thought, this acceptability in the minds of people, not one or two, thousands and lakhs. So he said to be afraid of death is like being afraid of discarding the old and worn out garments. Old and worn out garments, is there anybody who will be afraid to discard it? So Gandhiji says, just don't be afraid of it. Just as you discard the old and worn out garments, discard this body also for a great noble cause. He said, it is sheer ignorance which makes us afraid of death. High Vedantic statement. Sheer ignorance which makes us afraid of death. And he said, I will acquire the necessary strength to welcome death whenever, however it may come. He said he will be ready and fearless to welcome the death. We die to live once more. What a statement from Mahatma Gandhiji. We die to live once more. Anyway, we are going to live again. So why be afraid of death? We die to live once more, even as we live, only to die at last. Even as we live, in the end what is going to happen? Only to die at last. And we die to live once more. So then why feel afraid? He made it look so simple. To the common masses, it is not a philosophy class he is addressing. Not the students who are of a higher caliber who are already trained in the basics of spirituality. No, common people. He is talking to the common people. Because it was coming from the most purest heart, it entered into the hearts of others. Not because of scholarliness, not because of the intelligence or intellectualism. It is because of the purity from the heart. So Mahatma Gandhi said, we die to live once more, even as we live only to die at last. Life is therefore not an occasion for sorrow. Don't be sorrowful. Life itself is not an occasion for sorrow. What should we do in life? We must ascertain our duty and continue to discharge the duty till we die. Simple. We must ascertain our duty. We must find out what is our duty. We must be very clear and continuously do the duty till we die. Die doing the duty. Anyway, we have to die. So why should we die in a different way? Die while doing the duty. And Gandhiji also said, you know what is your duty, either by faith or by conviction. How to know what is my duty? Either by faith or by conviction. And continue your duty as if nothing had happened. Because he was a great leader and there was every chance that he was ready to undertake fast, undertake so many other things, risking his life. So people were worried that Gandhiji may die, Gandhiji may sacrifice. So Gandhiji said, continue your duty as if nothing had happened, and thus falsify the news of my passing away. Even if I pass away during the freedom struggle, falsify the news of my passing away by continuously doing your duty. He said, just because I pass away, don't stop doing your duty. Just do your duty, that is very important. Who can say that? You just don't bother when I leave my body, when I drop my body in this struggle. If I leave, just act in such a way that nothing has happened. Continue to do your duty. All fear, according to Mahatma Gandhiji, is a sign of want of faith. Because we don't have faith, there is fear. He is very clear. All fear is a sign of want of faith. And Gandhiji said, but faith cannot be acquired by force of intellect. It cannot be acquired by force of intellect. We need to go into deep meditation and spiritual practice. These are the words of Mahatma Gandhi. Deep meditation and spiritual practice. Only when we go into deep meditation and spiritual practice, slowly, when we do this, we will come to understand. We will come to develop that faith and trust in the divinity. Gandhiji said, do everything with one view of doing your duty and through that serving the divinity. Do your duty. Do everything with a view to serve. As a service, you do your duty. And at the same time, also do it as an offering unto God. Once you do it as an offering unto God, Mahatma Gandhiji says, you will never have a feeling that I am doing all this. And when you never have a feeling that I am doing all this, you will not have ill will for anybody. Ill will begins only when I have a feeling I am doing this. So when you have a feeling that I am not at all doing anything, then you will have no ill will on anybody, and then you will be generous towards everyone. Continuing further, we were discussing yesterday about the values, Satyam, Brahmacharya, etc., Asteyam and all. So now we move on to Aparigraha. Aparigraha, non-possession. Yesterday during the introduction, we saw elaborately what is non-possession, Gita's way of non-possession, what Gandhiji understands by non-possession. Non-possession is connected with non-stealing. If each person retains possession only of what one needs, if each one retains the possession only of what one needs, no one would be in want and all would live in contentment. Only what one needs, not what one desires, not what one wishes, not what one craves, only what one needs. Nobody will be wanting because everybody will be in contentment. So much will be available. Why much is not available for all the people? Only because we hoard and possess more than what we actually need. That is the main point. Gandhiji gave the example of birds. They don't have a roof and they don't have clothes. So he said, if you don't have a roof and if you don't have clothes, don't feel bad about it. Because birds also are living like that. And God loves the birds. And God loves all of us. So, there is no need to worry about tomorrow. You take care of the today. Rest will be taken care. That's what is the message of Mahatma Gandhiji. Keeping the desire to possess or for possession to what is necessary or important, depending upon one's life stage or context. That is how we have to have possessions with us. Gandhiji also advocated self-restraint from greed for one's material gain and happiness at others' cost. We need to have that self-restraint from greed for one's material gain and happiness at others' cost. We should not try to gain at others' cost, or we should not try to become happy at others' cost. Just think, if the people who are doing their duty, official duty, if they have this one value in their mind, only what is necessary, as per the present life stage and context, only what is important, that much only we have to possess. Then why anybody who is working as an officer or a responsible government servant, why the person will seek more than what one is getting? And then where can there be corruption? One value, if it is followed. No doubt you have to enhance the toughness of the law and then vigilance and all that. That is all external. This is internal. If a person understands aparigraha, non-possession, corruption will collapse. Everybody will enjoy doing their duty because they feel doing duty itself is the greatest thing that can happen through them. Then, nirbhayatvam, next one. Fearlessness. Gandhiji says fearlessness connotes freedom from all external fear. Fear of injury, fear of disease, fear of death, fear of losing near and dear, fear of losing reputation, etc. So on and so forth. We need to get out of that fear, according to Mahatma Gandhiji. And also one more thing, inside our mind, there are animalistic passions which are our enemies. And he says those also cause fear. So we need to rise above them and overcome them. Another point Mahatma Gandhiji gives is, we have to keep in mind that our wealth, our family, our body, our property, all these things are actually belonging to God. They are God's and not ours. The moment we leave it unto God's care, the moment we accept that they all belong to God, we get into fearlessness. Because it is now responsibility of the God to take care. He did not only talk about it. Yesterday we saw how he lived what he said. So all these things are not ours, but they belong actually only to God. And this way one can become fearless, according to Mahatma Gandhiji. In the year 1915, Mahatma Gandhiji went on an extensive tour of India, and then he understood how people live in poverty, what poverty means in India. Once in South India, in Madurai, he addressed a public meeting largely attended by men and women of that place. So many people used to come and attend Gandhiji's meetings. And he observed all of them. They were all half-clad men and women, meaning they did not wear clothes full, only half. Then that night, this went on in the mind of Mahatma Gandhiji, the picture of these half-clad men and women. So next day, Mr. Rajan, who was translating Gandhiji's English speeches into Tamil, he came to fetch Mahatma Gandhiji to take him to the public meeting. Gandhiji was wearing a loins cloth, only the cloth which he was wearing afterwards we see in the photographs. Nothing on top, nothing below the knee, only in between, that's all. That small piece of cloth. And then Rajan said, Gandhiji, please get ready, we have to go for a meeting. Gandhiji said, I am ready. Get ready, you have to dress up. Gandhiji said, this is the dress of common Indians, and from today I will wear only this dress. And did he ever look back afterwards? He never looked back. Even when he went to England and other countries in Europe in December, he was wearing that and only a piece of cloth to cover. No caps, no shoes. All other people you watch in the documentaries, they will be wearing all kinds of things. He will be just going out for morning walk in December in Switzerland. He wears the same dress. Getting down in London in cool winter, he wears the same dress. They asked him why. I represent the common people of India. This is the dress that belongs to India. There were so many people who were impressed by him, hundreds and thousands even in that European countries. Anybody would have got him suit, boot and all that, coat. Sita Ushna, Sukha Dukkha Samaha. In actuality, there are people who will talk from the stages, we should have samatva. And when they go to the cool places, they will cover themselves in such a way that nobody will recognize them. Because only small portion will be available, visible. But Mahatma Gandhiji, as he was here, so he was there. Only extra thing is little bit of cloth, because people told him, in the European countries, they will not be able to accept that. But still he went on, small cloth above to cover, that's all. But otherwise he was always very simple. So that day he decided, this will be my dress, and that is all. Afterwards he never went back. Winston Churchill, we know, very famous Winston Churchill, said to then Labour Prime Minister Clement Attlee, he said, we built the glory of British Empire for 150 years and you surrendered to Gandhi. We built the glory of British Empire for 150 years and you surrendered to Gandhi, who has no arms, no bullets, no guns, no ammunition. What a statement. No arms, no bullets, no guns, no ammunition. And you surrendered? And then the Prime Minister Attlee gave a fitting reply. He said, it is true that we quit India, but we quit with grace. What a statement. We quit with grace. And then he explained. He said, hardly very few people will really understand it this way, like Clement Attlee. He said, Subhash Chandra Bose, Netaji, already he was very popular in starting the Indian National Army. So people in India were joining the Indian National Army. And there was a revolt in the Navy. British were ruling India with the support of Navy and the Army. People were joining in Indian National Army and naval revolt. They started revolting. And Clement Attlee said, even though this was not blessed by Mahatma Gandhi, he was not for it. He was not for violence. He was not for war. Even though it was not blessed by Mahatma Gandhi, but these were the consequences of the patriotic mass awakening that Gandhi had created in India. This is the statement. Patriotic mass awakening. It is an awakening, patriotic mass awakening that Gandhi has created in India. That is the reason why others also were successful in recruiting him to Indian National Army and revolt, creating a revolt in the Navy. So then, Clement Attlee said, we found it difficult to sustain our empire in India by depending upon Navy navy and army. And when that became a reality, it was better to quit with grace. What a statement. Better to quit with grace. So then only they understood. Because till then they were winning everywhere with guns, bullets, arms, ammunition. First time in the history of British, they lost. They had to quit gracefully because Gandhiji inspired people, and then they went on to fight for freedom with no guns, no bullets, no arms, no ammunition. The whole world was really taken by a surprise. Is this possible? Can this be achievable? Is this real? How can this be? So that is what happened with Mahatma Gandhiji. All because the values he lived, the principles he had. Gandhiji never accepted politics without principles. If anybody enters politics, he should have principles. The next one, removal of untouchability. Gandhiji was advocating this. Gandhiji said, there is untouchability that is plaguing the country, Hinduism especially. Because by birth, certain people are called as untouchables. And if anybody else touches them, and that untouchability happens, they will get sullied by it, impure by it. And Gandhiji said, no one can be born untouchables, as all are sparks of one and the same fire, that is God. There is a fire and all are sparks, and one fire and all sparks, and that fire is God. And Gandhiji said, love for the service for the whole world. He was having so much of love for service and for the whole world. And he said, when we have love, and with love we serve, and that service is extended to the whole world, all barriers between man and a man will be removed. And man and various other living beings also will be removed. So he was for removal of all kinds of barriers, because according to his viewpoint, from that highest standpoint of his spiritual evolution, he was seeing the same divinity in all. The next one is Shramadhanam, which later on was also called as bread labor. According to him, one has to work and earn the bread by laboring with one's own hands. And one who eats without offering it to others, without offering it as a sacrifice unto others, he is like eating a stolen food. Even Bhagavad Gita also, Bhagavan Sri Krishna mentions the same thing, stena eva saha. So, if a person is eating his own food without partaking it with others, with a sacrificing attitude, he is eating a stolen food. And he said, one who does not do bodily labor has no right to eat. Meaning, don't simply eat without doing something. So, Shramadana, in other words, manual work done by individual or the group of people for the benefit of the community. Various activities he mentioned was agriculture, building houses, roads, wells, various kinds of things for the benefit of community. Once, Mahatma Gandhi was staying in a village called Karadi, and during his Satyagraha days, one morning he heard some peculiar sounds outside, and they were sounds of some music, loud musical instruments. And then when he saw through the window, he saw large number of people were in a procession. Women were leading that in the front with all national flags at that time. Meaning they already designed that flag for free India and they were carrying those flags. And men were behind the women were walking ahead with all the flags. And men were carrying flowers, fruits and money. Then finally the entire procession came and halted in front of the place where Gandhiji was staying. And he came out. And when he came out, they all started placing flowers, fruits and money at the feet of Mahatma Gandhiji. Karadi village. And he said, "What is that you are doing? What is all this?" And the heads of that village and various other important people there said, "Mahatma ji, every year we face water problem in this village. We struggle and struggle to fetch water. And especially at the time of the onset of summer, all wells will go dry, and in summer there is no water. And you came to our village, believe us, after you stepped into our village, suddenly all the wells are flowing with water." It is not joke, not a movie style story. It is a fact. All wells are flowing with water. It is because of you this has happened. And we want to express our devotion and faith in you. So we brought all these things. And Gandhiji said, "Your prayer has as much value as my prayer in front of God. God must have answered your prayers. Individually, I did not do anything. And don't be childish in fascinating all these things. There might have been some disturbance in the earth inside, and because of that water got released into the wells." He never accepted. But our tradition says, when a pure soul goes from place to place, even the nature will respond. Okay, earth disturbances are there, water came. Why then? Why that day? Just think. There are great masters who do all kinds of things, but when somebody goes and tells them because of you this has happened, they never accept. But such is the purity of Mahatma Ji. Mahatmas, when they move around, they bless all the places where they go around. The next value, tolerance or equality of religions. Mahatma Gandhiji himself went through scriptures of Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, so on and so forth. And he discovered that all speak of same God and universal principle of love. Deep inside they speak. Those people who really understand the deep message in their own spiritual text, they are all fine. But the problems are created only by those people who are on the layers and they misunderstand. And then they start hating. And then they start teaching and building up hatred against another religion, against other religious people. So Gandhiji said tolerance is very important, meaning giving same place to all religions. Gandhiji said in reality there is only one God and there is only one true religion. but this one true religion becomes many when it passes through human medium. That one becomes many. And Gandhiji gave an example. One tree and there are so many branches. Branches might be different in appearance, in their leaves, in their design sometimes. There are so many branches belonging to one tree. Each religion is like a branch, but they all are connected to one tree. When we go deep into the roots, we will discover it is only one. Same God and same universal principle of love. Mahatma Gandhiji used to conduct satsangs of prayer and then used to sing bhajans. And then people used to sing bhajans. And then the people who attend, they all knew about this religious tolerance and oneness of all religions, which is the viewpoint of Mahatma Gandhiji. And one day, one devotee came who was participating in the bhajan and said, "May I replace Rama with Harmas?" He said, "Okay." And another person came and said, "Your famous bhajan, Vaishnava Janato, may I replace Vaishnava with Christian?" He said, "Okay." And they sang by replacing those names, and everybody enjoyed, and that person also enjoyed and felt very comfortable. Religious tolerance and oneness is not merely to talk, but really to live. And in the presence of Gandhiji, everybody used to feel so humble and as well as so accepted that his presence was like that. Gandhiji, towards the later years of his life, most of the time he was spending in putting down the fires of partition. The moment they heard that it is going to be partitioned, there were so many riots, religious atrocities, which is a fact, which is recorded in the history. And Mahatma Gandhiji was more vigorously striving for bringing peace, more vigorously in comparison to the freedom struggle. His love for bringing peace amidst all the violence was so much that he was not there on 15th August 1947 when the flag hoisting was done. Gandhiji was not there. He was alive, but he was not there. He was busy in putting down the fires and bringing peace. Even Lord Mountbatten says, "We missed you during the flag hoisting." But he was not bothered because he was not, for him that was not important. For him peace was more important because people were killing each other, destroying like beasts, in the words of Gandhiji himself. They were behaving not like men but like beasts. And he went to a particular place, Nokhali Peace Mission. And he went to that place in order to make peace between the fighting communities. And he went from village to village to stop the Hindu-Muslim riots. And then when he went there, generally when Mahatma Gandhiji comes to conduct prayer meeting and peace meeting, thousands will come, hundreds will come, but nobody came that day. Nobody. Gandhiji is there and few people who went along with him are there. The peace mission. Nobody is come. Because they don't want to open their doors and come out. If they come out, the community will start fighting. This group will kill that group will kill this group. So much that if they see, they are killing. And to such a place Gandhiji goes, not with any protection, not with any force. People asked him, the government asked, "We will give you protection." We don't want. God is there to protect. No protection. He just goes there. And then nobody has come. Nobody is coming out. He called elders to come out. Nobody is coming out. Then what he did, Mahatma Gandhiji, he asked for a ball. And the people who were with him gave him a ball. Then he started calling children. This actually happened. He started calling children, Hindu children, Muslim children. He started calling them. Children slowly started coming out. And then he said, let us play the ball game. Mahatma Gandhiji playing ball game with children. So he said, I will throw the ball at you, you will throw the ball at me. So people were thrilled because they heard their elders talking so great about Gandhiji. And Gandhiji has come and Gandhiji is playing with them. He sat there in a public place and he is playing ball game with them. And then slowly more children started coming to play. They joined this play. He played 30 minutes, he played with them. And then he said to all the people, elders who were inside their homes, not coming out, he said, gain the courage by looking at your children. See the feeling that is there in the children's minds. The Muslim child is not afraid of Hindu child is not afraid of Muslim child. They are not fighting, they are not hating, they are not afraid. They are together, they are playing with me and they are playing with themselves. See this and you please come out. Induct this courage from your children. That friendliness which is missing in all these elders, please come out. And went on requesting them to come, and slowly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and all the people came out. All the elders. And he made them sit and conducted the prayer meeting and made them take pledge that from this time onwards nobody will fight. Nobody will fight. So the fighting was stopped there and peace mission was a success. Who can achieve success like that? They used brutal force to put down the violence, but he went there with love, generated that love, that acceptance, that fearlessness, that togetherness, that friendliness by his presence, by his talk, by his prayer meetings. And see, about Mahatma Gandhi's peace mission, Lord Mountbatten wrote one letter dated 26th August 1947. He said, looking at the success of Gandhiji's peace mission, he said, that was in Bengal. He said, Gandhiji, my dear Gandhiji, in Punjab we have 55,000 soldiers trying to control this. 55,000 soldiers. But in spite of that, what is happening is rioting, fighting. In Punjab, our force is 55,000 soldiers. And they could not control, they could not contain this rioting and fighting. In Bengal, our force is one man and there is no rioting. You know who is that one man? Gandhi. Who said this? Lord Mountbatten wrote. In Bengal, our force is one man and there is no rioting. 55,000 soldiers, nothing stopped in Punjab. The presence of a person, the love from the heart, the real peace intention inside, the truthfulness, the values which he stood for, the sincerity in approach that peace has to happen here, and daringly he went there. Nobody could dare to go also at that time. He went there and there he achieved that success of the peace mission. Just think. And he told in the last Congress Working Committee meeting he attended, where they were about to take the decision of partition. Gandhiji was not for partition. And when they were about to resolve this, he got up and said, now it is time for me to leave. And then the president also at that time said, yes, we have to respect, allow him to go. And Gandhiji said at that time, 1942, you all gave me the opportunity to announce do or die mission. Quit India! Gandhiji gave the call. And that became so powerful that finally it achieved the success. And Gandhiji said, even now this old man is ready to get into do or die. Are you ready to achieve the peace? And Gandhiji said, you are not ready to listen to this old man. You have your way. Now it is the time for me to leave this meeting before you take this resolution and decide for this. He left. Then they decided. Even Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, they had different view, Gandhiji had different view. But still, he said, if you are all ready to fight now, with more vigor, we can achieve this. That day also I said the same thing, now also I am saying the same thing. We can achieve even now, but you are not interested. Gandhiji said, you are not interested now. So he left it. And one journalist, Mr. Alexander, reported this incident. He was a British journalist. He reported this incident. He said, in one place when Gandhiji was offering prayers, because it was a writing time, suddenly one Muslim youth surfaced from nowhere, pounced upon Gandhiji and held his throat. Because of that hatred, held his throat, and Gandhiji almost collapsed. But before he almost collapsed, when this Muslim youth came and held the throat, Gandhiji recited a verse from Quran. At that moment, the moment this Muslim youth heard this verse from Quran, he was shocked. He immediately withdrew his action and then touched the feet of Mahatma Gandhi and said, please forgive me, I was committing a sin. Now please give me an opportunity to serve you, to be with you, and give me that opportunity to protect you against others' attacks. Gandhiji smiled and then said, you go back to your place, and when you go back to your place, don't tell anyone what you did to Gandhi, what you did to me. If you tell this, riots will break out. Don't tell, be quiet. This is the only help you can do for me. That fearlessness. He never said when the youth pounced and then held the throat, never he said anything. He still recited the verse from there. He knew what will touch that fellow. And it is not the verse from Quran, it is actually the purity with which and sincerity and honesty with which he recited. That sincerity inside, that truthfulness inside touches other soul. We have heard about Angulimalika going and trying to kill Buddha, and just Buddha looked at him and suddenly he stopped. He could not do anything. Like that there are many instances with Mahatmas. And no wonder why Gandhiji was called a Mahatma Gandhi. That daringness, that courage, that fearlessness to face any kind of situation. Fearlessness is not merely to talk. He lived fearlessness. He lived in it. Next value, Namrata, humility, Vinaya. Gandhiji says, humility should make the possessor realize that he is nothing. Humility means what? The one who has humility must realize that one is nothing. He is nothing. Gandhiji says, when we imagine ourselves to be something, we develop false ego. When we imagine ourselves to be something, we develop false ego, and then barriers start happening between man and God. Barriers start rising. When we develop a false ego. What will happen? Why it will be developed? We start thinking we are something. हम कुछ है, हम कुछ कर सकते हैं, हम कुछ चीज हैं. And then start. Barriers begin. So Gandhiji says, in order to overcome all barriers, we must be humble and remain in humility and consider that we are nothing. True humility, according to Mahatma Gandhiji, is a constant and strenuous effort directed towards the service of the humanity. What is humility? Constant and strenuous effort directed towards the service of the humanity. That is humility. Constantly being in service. And Gandhiji said, one who sacrifices one's life for the sake of humanity will not have time to think about himself and have any kind of ego. Where is time to think about oneself when you are always involved in service of the humanity? Humility also means reverential submission, submissiveness and bowing down. Accepting oneself as nothing and effacing the ego that is there in oneself. Like that, when the team is there, where the egos are effaced and everybody feels one is nothing, and see the bond and strength of unity of that team. Why there are disparities in a team? Why there are differences and conflicts? It is all because each member of the team thinks I am something. And not only that I am something, you are nothing. Okay, if you are something, not as much as I am something. This is what is the conflict in all teams, all groups. You see anywhere, in any organization, in any team, in any committee, anywhere, the fight if it happens is only because of this. I am something, I want something. I want to prove something. I want to see to it that you understand that I am something. Starts. Shuru. Conflict shuru, ego shuru, gadbad shuru, backbiting shuru, talking ill shuru, infighting, outfighting, groupism, enmity, all start. Even today, in any group, if there is a division, if there is a conflict, if there is a disparity, this is only because of this. That one fellow thinks I am something and other fellow thinks I am something. Or two somethings which are actually nothing will want to prove that they are something and reduce everything to nothing. That is what is happening. Anywhere, if one value of Mahatma Gandhiji, humility, I am nothing. If this is taken up in any committee, in any society, there will be no disparity, there is no conflict, there is no fighting. Because I am nothing. One value. You tell me which value is not relevant today. Every single value is relevant today. In fact, Gandhiji is required more today. The presence of Mahatma Gandhi and values of Mahatma Gandhi is required more today, because wherever you see any problem, any social evil anywhere, it is only because none of these values are there, not even one. If at all, if any success is there, any progress is there, it is only because a few people, rare individuals who are really following these values. We are not saying that nobody is there. There are few, and because of those few only it is surviving. One person of a pure heart will counter thousands of negative hearts, the vibrations, according to the great research done by some spiritual masters. One person of pure heart will counter the negative vibrations released by thousands of impure hearts. Because of the presence of few rare individual, that is enough to balance. The next one, Swadeshi. Swadeshi is another beautiful thing coined by Mahatma Gandhiji, and it has got a totally different kind of meaning. Final escape of the soul from earthly bondage is Swadeshi. Final escape of the soul from earthly bondage. Trying to be one with God by removing all worldly bondages. How? That is the link. For this, one has to dedicate himself in the service of others. When one dedicates oneself in the service of others, all worldly bondages get removed. Sincere service taken up selflessly, all bondages removed. And Gandhiji says, your service of others should start with your own neighbors. Serve them and serve all people. And that is the first principle of Swadeshi. Swadharma, which is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, is Swadeshi of Gandhiji. Gandhiji is Swadeshi and Bhagavad Gita Swadharma, both are same, according to Mahatma Gandhiji. Do your duty selflessly. And what is the most important duty? Service of others. In Swadeshi movement of Mahatma Gandhiji, no room for selfishness. And people who are in this movement should be ready to sacrifice everything that belongs to oneself for the sake of humanity. Ready to sacrifice anything and everything for the sake of humanity, for the sake of others. And when such selfless people are there, Gandhiji feels that is how transformation happens and good happens to the society, to the community, to the nation. Don't we need such teams now? Swadeshi teams? Don't you think such people are required today in order to bring about a transformation in the society? And another thing of Swadeshi is Gandhiji gave the call, use only khadi. And one interesting thing, the one who is against the foreign cloth, when he went to London, cloth merchants of one place in London called Gandhiji for a meeting. Cloth merchants who produce that cloth, manufacture of that cloth and who distribute that cloth, they called Mahatma Gandhiji for a meeting and he went and addressed them. Then he said, I am not against you. And don't think, and he gave such economical numbers at that time. What is the unemployment rate in England and what is the, he said that time, in England 3 million people are unemployed because, no foreign cloth is purchased. Nothing foreign goods is purchased. Only Indian goods should be purchased. Why? Because you have to promote local manufacturers. Promote local manufacturers. Support them. That is how economy in India grows. Is it not the need of today? What is the call given by Prime Minister? Make in India is nothing but Swadeshi of Mahatma Gandhi in another way. Think of it. He might have put it in a different format, but it is same thing. Make it here, support that make here. Because economy grows. Don't think Gandhiji was only a freedom fighter. He knew economy also equally well. That is why he brought this. And selfless people working for the sake of humanity with sacrifice, if they involve in this Swadeshi movement, what to say of that? There was an occasion where one woman was arrested. And actually, when women were arrested, they were allowed to go, in the freedom struggle, they were allowed to go. I may not be able to give those details here, but there is all history recorded in history. So they were allowed to go to the home and meet the family members and then go to the jail. Whatever they want to leave there, they can leave and go. There was one woman, the name also is mentioned, I may not remember that name now. And she was arrested. She was following Gandhiji's call. And she was asked, do you want to go home? She said, no. Straight from here I want to go to jail. Unlike all other women. And when she was about to go into the jail, she saw there was a gathering and then there were khadi people who were wearing khadi. And she called one person who was wearing khadi, took out all her ornaments, gave it to him and said, this is my address, go and give it in my house. It will be useful for them. And that fellow says, how come I don't know you, you don't know me, and you are giving these things to me and then you are trusting me that I will go and give it there? How? What made you trust? She says, khadi that you are wearing. What a trust Mahatma Gandhi's khadi generated. The one who wears a khadi cloth can be trusted. They are true to their principles and values. That was the dress, the glory of khadi at that time. A woman trusts that man, leaves all ornaments and says, go and give it in my house. I trust you because you are wearing khadi. What is the khadi value now? What is the khadi value then? Nowadays politicians wear khadi only to cover up their negativities. Khadi covers them. And those days khadi was uncovering everything, revealing people that they stand for the principles and values. You are wearing khadi, that means this is what it is. You are in the Swadeshi movement, given a call given by Gandhi, that means you are accepted, you are true, you are selfless. There is no selfishness in you. That is what the call given by Mahatma Gandhi. You will be freed from worldly bondages when you work selflessly for the service of humanity, ready to sacrifice anything. That is what is Swadeshi, that is what is khadi. Economy also, trustworthiness also. What a call given by Gandhi. What amount of trust is generated in people. Is this possible for an ordinary individual? Just think of it. It is that inner purity, it is that inner sanctity which made Gandhi what he is. So then Gandhiji gave this call, and also he said, you also observe the quality of the local manufacturers, quality of the goods, and go meet, tell the person to improve the quality, then he will get better returns. Actively participate in this. He advocated that. Don't simply leave it to that person. Go and tell him, quality when it is improved, then we will buy more. So that is why the quality also is very important. So then Gandhiji said, if this way, if you follow the other principle of Swadeshi, the poverty in India can be lessened. Poverty in India can be lessened. When he went there to attend that meeting, he said, there are 3 million unemployed in England, there are 300 million unemployed, underemployed in India. Do you want to make them like that and still earn your profits? They all supported, no. He made the people in London, in England, support his cause. They were facing losses because of this Swadeshi, but they said, you are right. See the greatness of a person. So then, Mahatma Gandhiji was never a person of empty words. If only his spirit is understood, if only his value is understood by Indians. I am not talking about others have understood very well. The whole system will be cleansed. The people who claim to be the followers of Mahatma Gandhi, please understand, this is what is very important. Will Durant, a famous philosopher, who even went and interviewed many saints and sages, he says one thing, not since Buddha has India so revered any man. Not since Buddha has India so revered any man. Not since Saint Francis of Assisi has any life known to history been so marked by gentleness, by disinterestedness, by simplicity of soul and forgiveness of enemies. We have this astonishing phenomena of a revolution led by a saint, and that is Gandhi. Just think, he says in the history, if it is in India, after Buddha, if it is outside, after Saint Francis of Assisi. Nobody is known to have really being filled with the values of gentleness, disinterestedness, simplicity, and of the soul, and forgiveness of enemies. Another famous personality of America, Dr. Martin Luther King. He was the one who was behind the great movement of bringing equality in America between blacks and whites. What Mahatma Gandhi faced in South Africa, they were facing same thing in America. So he was a champion of that cause. So he said, very, very important thing it is for us to see how a great movement in America was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. Indirectly he was the leader. And he says, like most people, I had heard of Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I had heard of Gandhi, but I had never studied him seriously. As I read, I became deeply fascinated by his campaigns of non-violent resistance. The whole concept of Satyagraha was profoundly significant to me because he was leading a movement. He wanted to lead that movement only by drawing the inspiration from Mahatma Gandhi. Non-violence, Satyagraha. And he said, what he said, listen, Gandhi was probably the first person in history to lift the love ethic of Jesus. First person in history to lift the love ethic of Jesus above mere interaction between individuals to a powerful and effective social force on a larger scale. He says nobody has ever done that, to lift that love ethic of Jesus on such a large scale. And he also says what all books he read in order to find that inspiration for his movement. And he says, the intellectual and moral satisfaction that I failed to gain from the utilitarianism of Bentham and Mill, the revolutionary methods of Marx and Lenin, the social contract theory of Hobbes, the back to nature optimism of Rousseau, and the superhuman philosophy of Nietzsche, I found in the non-violent resistance philosophy of Gandhi. What a glory it is to Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy. He read so much of so many different places, so many great people. He says, nothing satisfied my intellect. Nothing gave me that moral satisfaction except the non-violent resistance philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi. That is why he said, Gandhiji is inevitable. If humanity is to progress, Gandhi is inescapable. See the words. If humanity is to progress, Gandhi is inescapable. He lived, thought, and acted inspired by the vision of humanity evolving towards a world of peace and harmony. And we may ignore him at our own risk. And there afterwards he said, very unique. Whatever he said is very unique because he studied Mahatma Gandhiji deeply. He said, Gandhiji resisted evil with as much vigor and power as the violent resistor. As much vigor and power as the violent resistor. How people resist? With violence. As much vigor and power as violent resistor. He resisted the evil. But he resisted with love instead of hate. True pacifism is not unrealistic submission to evil power. It is rather a courageous confrontation of evil by the power of love. He was the one who said this to the whole world. Gandhiji faced the evil with power of love. Who can do this? One who really has that power of love alone can do this. The true power of love within oneself. Romain Rolland of Switzerland, he said, "This is the man who stirred 300 million people to revolt, who has shaken the foundation of British Empire and who has introduced into human politics the strongest religious impetus of the 200 years." And he said, Gandhi is not only for India a hero of national history, whose legendary memory will be enshrined in the millennium epoch. Gandhiji has renewed for all the peoples of the West the message of their Christ, forgotten or betrayed. He says, all the people of that part of the world, they have forgotten, but he renewed the message of the Christ, that the power of love and not hating anybody. With that only he fought and he won. For many, Romain Rolland says, for many, he was like the return of Christ. What more? He made people in the West, in the Europe, everywhere, accept him as a great divine personality. People felt that after they heard about Christ in their part of the world, because they had known only about the Christ, and they again saw Mahatma Gandhiji, who was only living, preaching, demonstrating love without hatred, service without selfishness. The whole world recognized his greatness, his glory. Lord Mountbatten said, India, indeed the world, will not see the like of him again, perhaps for centuries. His life of truth, tolerance, and love towards his fellows may inspire our troubled world to save itself by following his noble example. C. Rajagopalachari said, after he came to know about the Gandhiji's message that he is no more, he said, Gandhiji did not die in bed calling for hot water or calling for doctors and nurses. He did not die after mumbling incoherent words in the sick bed. He died standing, not even sitting. Bhagavan Rama was too eager to take him. Just think, not Indians, all over the world, how much of reverence is there for Mahatma Gandhiji. So, if we can take one point from what Gandhiji lived and preached, it will bring about the greatest transformation in not only our lives, but it will bring about a transformation in the nation and the entire world. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यम् रामनाम वरानने श्री रामनाम वरानने राम 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 सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।